Hey, Jake, old buddy, old pal. Excited for today's episode?
Well, good golly gosh, I sure am. It's another Sonic Newbie education episode, and I always love meeting new people and learning new Sonic facts myself. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
No! Jake, my beloved friend! Why is this happening? Why?
I'm fine, actually, and I'm sure I'll be back next time, and this will never happen again.
Oh, okay. On with the show, then.
Hello and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract themselves from the inevitable passage of time and their own rapidly waning ability to relate to the youth. I'm CyberLink.
I'm GameBuddy.
I'm Faulerro.
And I'm Sreddous.
Oh, we have a guest. Where do you come from?
I thought
I locked the door.
I come from the Mario fan.
Oh no, get her out of there.
Oh no.
There's a real man.
No, our April Fool's episode is that way.
I have a type. Don't judge me.
I know you do. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so good having you on here to be our second in our series of Sonic Education 101 episodes. That's right, folks. We're doing it again.
I am so excited. Thank you for having me. I'm going to learn so much.
You're going to learn various things that are going to be absolutely no use to you in your life, but hey,
come on.
You'll have something to say
it
to
will
other
possibly
Sonic
mentally scar you. We'll see.
Yes.
The possibility always exists.
I'm here for possibilities.
So just to kind of establish a baseline, where is your general familiarity level with one Mr. Sonic T. Hedgehog?
So I feel like I have absorbed a lot of things from memes and pop culture that may or may not be accurate. I have played plenty of the games. I actually grew up with a couple of them. I was babysat by a guy that had a Genesis, and so we played plenty of the other ones. My favorite games that I bought for myself were actually on the Game Boy Advance. That music plant level. Favorite music.
Plant from Sonic Advance 2 is one of my favorite levels.
Love that. So I've definitely played some of those games, watched some of the shows, so I know about characters like, Sally Acorn and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like I have an interesting balance of knowledge of having played a couple of games. So I know that sometimes Sonic kisses human princesses. I know that he has to go fast. I don't know the context for that. So I think and I'm friends with, some of the people that have made, some of the Archie comics. So I've seen some of their work, but it's all cobbled together. I think I do not have any kind of, overarching connected lore. I'm just like, oh yeah, Sonic hang out with that guy one time. Oh yeah, Sonic hang out with that guy one time, which is a fun place to be, I think, to discuss Sonic facts.
Yeah, you're kind of right on the periphery. Like I remember you went with me and Jeremy to Sega Fan Jam several years ago.
In Savannah, Georgia. Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited to have you on to, further your Sonic education, as it were. So
I'm a good student.
Exactly. So the format's going to be very similar to what we did last time, where we're going to open up the floor to any questions you have about Sonic-related anything, the games, the comics, the cartoons, any of that stuff. And, every once in a while, we will interrupt things with a fun little quiz game to, kind of see how much you have absorbed through cultural osmosis, and definitely not just point out all of the weird, bizarre things that Sonic has bubbling underneath the surface.
Yeah.
It won't just be about how Sonic kissed human princesses, because imagine a video game icon who did that.
I've never heard of any video game icon doing that.
I know, nobody goes crazy when Mario kisses a human princess. Double standard.
You certainly haven't built an elaborate headcanon around it regarding the parentage of a certain character.
I wish Mario would kiss human me.
I know I was saying, now there's a man with some stability. That's Sonic, free spirit, aloof, can't count on him. Mario, he's got a day job.
And an MD.
I was going to say, he's
working
got too many of them, actually, to be fair. I don't know how he balances it all.
Poor
His
guy, he must be burned
401k
out.
is massive.
He's retiring rich.
So I guess to get into it, what is, let's start off with one of your questions about Sonic and all of this madness.
Okay, so I actually do have what I think is a pretty good in-depth question. So, I know I'm joking, haha, about being like a Mario loyalist, but one of the things that, I am a big fan of it, and one of the things that's sort of frustrating is that a lot of the games contradict each other. In some iterations of Mario, he's clearly born in the United States and from Brooklyn, and sometimes in other games he has a very strong Italian accent, implying that he's an immigrant. Do the Sonic games do that, where it's like, wait, which Sonic am I following? And if so, right, I assume so. But then, okay, in your opinion, which games are closest to the lore that you guys accept? Do you accept the Sonic that kissed the human princess? Or are you like, no, I don't know who that is. I follow this guy that was an environmental activist with Sally Acorn. You know what I'm saying?
So that's a great first question, and also a very complicated one to answer.
Yes.
Well, for one thing, the game where you kiss a human princess ended with them literally going back in time and undoing the events so that they never happened.
Oh no! Is that how you get rid of a underwhelming game?
I guess.
Apparently.
Just retcon it out of existence.
When you write yourself into a corner.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like they knew what they had. They were like, oh, well, we can't do this again. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Sonic, is that very early on, when it was brought over to America, they made a lot of different changes to it, built their own kind of internal lore Bible for the whole thing. That Dr. Eggman becoming Dr. Robotnik was just one of those things where, they also added, Sonic isn't on Earth, he's on his own planet called Mobius, and, building out a lot of these other backstory elements that were absolutely not in the original Japanese when that was being originally conceived. And then from there it spun off further, where you had the syndicated cartoon on the weekdays, which was the one with the more kind of Bugs Bunny comedic one with Scratch and Grounder and Dr. Robotnik, and then you had the one with Sally Acorn, the Freedom Fighters, that was on Saturday mornings, and then that kind of spun off into the Archie comic series. But then all at the same time, over in the UK, they had their own separate comic series that was based more on the American Bible stuff that had nothing to do with the cartoons. And so it was really around the Dreamcast when Sega was like, okay, we kind of need to consolidate this a lot more and kind of bring everything in line together, especially considering that okay, now we have voice acting and more detailed stories in these games. We need to kind of make sure that we have the same thing going in all regions. So they kind of squeeze that back together a little bit. They solve the Eggman Robotnik thing by saying, oh, well, his family name is Robotnik, but Eggman was a joking nickname that Sonic gave him, that he's like, oh no, well, fuck you, I'm going to start calling myself Eggman. I'm going to own it so that you can't hold that over me.
Reclaim
Take that.
it.
Exactly.
Man, that's plausible, though. I mean, Eggman is a mean nickname if you look at it that way.
It's like taking a slur back for yourself.
I
A little
support it.
bit. I can respect it. But yeah, that was around the time they started to try and consolidate everything going forward. It wasn't totally, complete in that way. The Archie comics were still going kind of in their own little pocket universe. They had the Sonic Boom series, which was set in its own separate side thing. And it's only around the last 5 years or so where they've really kind of drilled everything down, where outside of the movies, everything is more or less in canon with one another. So you've got the main game series going now. The current comic series by IDW is in canon with that. So characters in one will get mentioned in another. The Sonic Prime cartoon that just came out on Netflix is ostensibly canon, but again, it's another case where the series ended with everything getting undone and the timeline being reset. So it's Yeah, sort of.
And the production for that might have even predated this, like, okay, now we're going to be serious about it. So
yeah, like to kind of indicate where they are on that point, they built like an internal lore team to keep the stories and the mythology consistent maybe 2-3 years ago, and we're only just now starting to kind of see the effects of that with the really sort of cross-media shared storylines.
They are trying much more than they ever did before. However, just recently we found out that Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is not canon, so I am upset.
Breaks my heart.
which is like, come on.
Evan Stanley said like something very similar might have happened that led to Tails repeating a line from that in the IDW comics, but we can't have them be connected. Okay, fine, whatever.
I mean, that sounds more, I mean, not to put words in anybody's mouth. That kind of sounds like what they say for the comics, where it's like, well, when does this take place? And they're like, at some point. But it is canon to the games, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the funny thing, if I could just say, not to accidentally launch into a separate podcast, the funny thing is that you would think after Sega, brought kind of all the continuities together, tried to make everything more game-like, like, hey, now Sonic has green eyes and he's taller and he's going to have a canon personality, that there wouldn't be a huge discrepancy between how fans perceive Sonic and how Sega does. But if anything, that might be more controversial than ever with how people think, well, Sonic wouldn't do that, or would he? Or would he say this, or would he do this? And I don't know. It's just, I think that's a symptom of a even after all these years, a very healthy fandom with lots of open debate about their favorite characters, and that's the nicest way I can put that.
Yeah. The problem is, over the years, Sonic has had so many like inconsistent styled games. Everything is kind of like a world in and of itself, which makes it really hard to bring them together in a way that Sega have been trying. That makes people happy because everyone has their own idea based on it. Like, because even though now they are all the same canon continuity, some games just feel like they're in a whole different universe, Yeah. And what it comes down to is Mario would never have this problem because Mario just does whatever. So
yeah, it's understandable. He's a doctor. Don't question it.
Yeah, story has never been a priority for Mario, which is both, a strength and a curse in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I want lore. Then, in y'all's opinion, which Sonic lore or which game do you find the most most compelling?
That's a tough one.
That's interesting, actually.
I think that these days the most compelling one is the most recent 3D game, Sonic Frontiers, because I think that, that was the one where, that was a big shift in terms of story and tone. They brought on Ian Flynn, longtime comic writer, to do the story for that one.
Yes. And I do know of him, yeah.
Much to the chagrin of most fans, unfortunately.
Oh,
I wouldn't say fans, most. Just people who need to leave Twitter.
Yes.
I was about to say most annoying fans on Twitter, but not most fans as a whole.
Chronically online.
It just feels like that sometimes,
Yes, just like everything else going on in the world right now.
Yeah, but I think Frontiers is the most interesting for two reasons. One, it is the game that kind of as a result of this push to reconsolidate everything, it's the one that kind of made it feel like the older games were more important to the overall storyline and to how these characters perceive the world. Where it's like, hey, it's Sonic will be like, hey, this is a lot like when we were on Space Colony Arc, or it's just like, the prophecies of Dark Gaia, and calling back to all of these other things. But
much to the chagrin of many Sonic fans.
Again, terminally online.
Terminally online.
Oh no, the worst thing possible. A series is acknowledging its 30 plus years of history.
Yeah, I like something that feels like it's well researched, I can tell when a Mario game, they were just throwing crap at the wall, but I can also tell when I'm like, oh, I see what you're referencing. I don't know, an Easter egg is fun, but a well-researched game that knows how to use its Easter eggs makes me be like, okay, you give a crap about this IP, and that makes me feel like expected as a viewer,
Imagine we get a Mario game that's like Mario's like, hey, you remember that time we went on to that vacation into Dinosaur Land? That was crazy. Wahoo!
Remember that time I got a sham trial and got thrown in jail, even though I'm royalty, and that should have been an
taken advantage of by the police state of a foreign country.
The other big thing about Frontiers is that I think it was the game that really like went a long way to reestablishing the characters in terms of who they are. A lot of it was, the cutscenes were just Sonic and Tails, Knuckles, and Amy just kind of having conversations about, the state of what's going on and kind of where they are all individually at personality wise. Amy talking about how she wants to, Amy has always been an empath and wanting to spread love to all corners of the world, even beyond just her own crush on Sonic. Knuckles kind of having to come to terms with the fact that he is still the last of his kind, destined to watch over this ancient emerald forever. Tails, kind of trying to deal with the fact that he's supposed to be Sonic's best friend, but he's still suffers a lot from a lack of self-confidence and worrying that he can't keep up with Sonic, and stuff like that, really kind of reasserting who these characters are and making them feel more like characters.
Yeah, that I've said before, I think that's my favorite running theme in Sonic Frontiers, is that these characters will forever be ageless archetypes. I think just last year, recently, Sega just kind of quietly retired their canon ages and just decided, certain characters, Sonic, Knuckles, are forever adolescents, cool teens, whereas younger characters are forever little kids. But the way Frontiers has them talk about their history, it's okay, well they basically did the best of both worlds. It's here is Sonic, the forever youthful optimist, but he is acknowledging his 30 years of video games and adventures, and it just feels really cool. So yeah, I think I also agree. I think Frontiers is the most compelling Sonic universe that all fits together. If I could, I wouldn't go to bat for it, but if I could say, despite the execution being not very good, I really digged the vibe and world of Sonic Forces in the beginning, because it felt like they were trying to do the freedom fighters fighting against an Eggman who has taken over the world. Now, like I said, people are not big fans of that game as a whole, and I wouldn't even say it's very good, but I do like that they tried something like that with the...
It was an attempt.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
You gotta give them that credit.
Yeah.
I'm still a filthy UK guy, and I just really like the old Sonic stories that I had when I was growing up, because all the media I was checking out was, as far as I knew, Sonic was on Mobius, he got blue after running in a treadmill, and Robotnik fused with the evil of the Chaos Emeralds and a rotten egg, and that made sense to me, gosh dang it, because that's what I was told Sonic was.
And I'll keep saying it, that Sonic the Comic was the only English continuity at the time that followed the games closer than anything else.
Did the comics come out before the TV shows?
I think so. Yes,
oh, I'm
I think they all
surprised about
did.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
it wasn't long before the cartoons started coming out, even over here. And we got those as well. I was like, and when it came out, we had adventures and stuff. I was like, well, that's them Americans just not understanding Sonic, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that more or less answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I heard you mention things like the older games and older things too. I think one of the first games that I played, what was it, Sonic Advance 2, you said, is the one that because that makes sense. Okay, so I really, really like that one. The other game that I remember having way too much fun on, even though if I think about it, it probably wasn't an amazing game, is it Sonic Heroes, is the one on the GameCube where you can play as a team of 3 characters?
Yep,
yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
That game was really fun. Now that game had a lot of voice acting in it too.
Yep.
I kind of remember being surprised at how full the voice acting is. But basically, I remember wanting to. This was the first time that I was like, oh, I really like Big the Cat. Oh, I really like these guys. Like, I don't know. I put together my fun team. I think I played as like Cream. I played as all the pretty girls because, of course, I did.
Yeah,
I played as
I think
Cream,
Amy Rose,
Big.
Cream, and
with,
Big.
Yeah. Team Rose, yes, because that had the Cream and Big. And I remember that even like Rogue the Bat was like talking to him, and she was like, "You don't really know anything at all, do you?" And Big, or something like that. I kind of just like remember some of these lines. I remember really enjoying that game. I wish I remembered more about like the actual gameplay. I remember it was pretty chaotic and pretty fun.
Yeah,
Listen, if you have positive memories of it now, do yourself a favor and don't replay it. Just let it.
I do. My heart loves it.
Yeah.
I'll let my heart.
That was another game where they tried to do a lot of really cool, really interesting things, but it was also like developed in it went through a very difficult development cycle. It was pulled together very quickly. So, it's not the most stable of games, but again, you have to respect them for wanting to do something different and try something new.
Well, and that the GameCube probably was the first time that it wasn't a Sega console, right? Like, when did the Dreamcast stop and the GameCube start? Like, I feel like they kind of overlapped. So maybe that was like one of the first.
The Dreamcast was discontinued the same year that the GameCube came out. So.
Sonic Heroes was their first multi-platform one, so they had to develop for a lot of consoles.
Yes.
So,
I think I knew that, yeah. Because I remember being surprised to see Sonic on the GameCube. Like, I played Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation. My babysitter neighbor guy had the Sega consoles, and we played Mario on Nintendo. And so when Sonic came out on GameCube, I think I remember being like, ooh, is Crash Bandicoot going to come out on GameCube? I remember thinking that it was unusual.
And the answer was yes.
Eventually.
Crash Bandicoot slaps. I like that meme that says, speaking of my knowledge of Sonic involving memes, I like that meme that says, like, Mario's definitely from New York, Italian plumber. Sonic's definitely from California, snarky and like a cool guy. Crash Bandicoot's from Florida, on bath salts and always screaming. And I was like, oh, totally. Although
no shirt and cut off jorts.
That was what I was going to say. How dare that meme not mention the jorts? Because I'm from Jacksonville. We take that seriously.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Florida man with an Australian accent where they allow him to talk, and they never should, because it's bad.
He's a Florida man, but he's living in Australia because every 5 steps something tries to kill him.
So that I believe. Wait, no way. They actually gave him real. No, everybody else can. Like, I don't mind if Coco talks. There's no way that Crash Bandicoot talks. I don't believe it. Crash Bandicoot says something other than wow.
It's very rare. There was a Spyro cartoon that came out a couple of years ago where he was voiced with an Australian accent by Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords.
Oh.
All right, who's the drongo trying to get one over on old Crash, eh? Coco would be so jealous. Yeah, she's way into that science stuff,
They got a New Zealander to play? Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Can Bandicoots live in New Zealand too? Oh, that's funny. I learned something that made me upset, and now I'm not upset anymore because I really, really like Rhys Darby. He was in Our Flag Means Death too, and he is beautiful, and I love him. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot, I liked that. I like games where like other people have voice lines and the main character doesn't. Like Cortex is a cool guy too. I played the hell out of Crash Team Racing. Point is, I like that meme. I wish that it mentioned the jorts.
Fair enough. All right. How about any other questions? Let
me think. Okay. Here's a good question. So most Sonic games are actually pretty good. I feel like Sonic as a franchise really has some classics. Even if the answer is obvious, what game do you wish you yourself could reprogram because it annoyed you so much?
Ooh.
Because I got some Mario games I wish were a little different.
All right. I don't want to take somebody's answer.
We probably all have the same answer.
Interesting.
Well, I want to, like I said, I want to try and be unique. So I'm going to go with my second gut answer. Is I'm going to say Sonic Heroes. Because we did revisit that game, what was it, last year? And we all agreed, like, the vibe's immaculate. It's so fun. It's a silly little Sonic story. Yeah, everybody, even if they're all motor mouths, it's like, oh man, this feels so fun and cheery, and it's got some great level designs. But there are just a couple of like quibbles with the controls.
The camera,
and,
I kind of
like,
remember the camera.
Yeah, with the camera.
Because
and
you're following
like some
three people.
things
How do you
that
put
just,
a camera on three?
Oh yeah, some things that just don't work. The bosses aren't very fun. So if I could tweak just those few things, I think it would be a really, really more solid experience.
If it just had 6 more months in the hopper, it could have been great.
I really agree with that. My nostalgia is big, but I agree with that totally. Yep.
All right, I want to hear everybody else's.
maybe if nobody else says the other one you were thinking of, you can say it after.
Okay.
I want to know. I feel actually really interesting.
It's a good question. There are so many, you say the Sonic is known for having a lot of good games, but actually no. There's quite a few. Listen, we love Sonic here.
Yeah, of course.
But he's not the most consistent boy, especially when it comes to his game releases. I'd say, maybe it's because I just recently re-listened to our Pinball episode and was reminded of it, but it would be nice if Sonic Spinball were good. Because I like that little game. It's a short little Sonic pinball experience, but it's not very well put together. I think if someone who knew, because they were also rushed again, because this was it was rushed out because Sonic 3 wasn't ready, as I understand it, and they needed something out in time. So they got this little game just got farted out in 5 minutes. I feel
hate when you can tell that that's what happened, Ugh,
yeah,
I hate that.
It is an unfortunately common story for a lot of the worst Sonic games.
So if they could make Sonic Spinball playable, that would be great.
Yeah.
I think we even said at the time, man, this really deserves a either a fan decomp version or rebuilt to run at a full Sega Genesis 60 frames per second. So the pinball would feel like a pinball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want laggy frame rates when you're watching your pinball fly.
Yeah,
that's deeply unsatisfying.
So slow.
Yeah.
And people do love that game. I want to give them the recognition they deserve. But yeah, I was never one of them, and it does feel pretty bad.
Yeah, I think that just being able to let the game run better, and also maybe a little bit more little help on those later levels so that you're not immediately falling into the pit, falling into the drain because you don't have full control or whatever. Just a little bit of extra help there would have made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little more variety in the soundtrack. Don't change it. I'll fight you on that. Don't change it.
Just
maybe
fix
a
the
little
levels
more
on the
variety.
options menu, because as iconic as that song is, it will murder your ears.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm actually not going to go for my number one because it's low-hanging fruit. I'm going to go for my number two, one that I think that my other two co-hosts will strongly agree with me on, the recent Sonic Superstars.
Oh, yeah,
Ooh,
of course.
Yeah.
Because it was almost great.
That game was so close. It was so close. The main thing that needs to be changed in that is the bosses. They are...
Yep.
In the classic Sonic games, when you're fighting the bosses, you could get into a loop where you're, being able to bounce off the bosses really quickly, and just there's not a whole lot of reload time before you're able to hit them again. So you're able to get through them pretty quickly, but they're still pretty challenging despite that. Superstars is the one where it's you hit the boss and then it's another 3 or 4 seconds before he goes out of invincibility frames and you're able to hit him again. And it's it just brings things to such a crawl.
Yeah, I want to do combos with a Sonic game. I want it to be fast,
Yeah. I can't remember how did someone phrase it on our Superstars, was that Sonic bosses at the end of acts should be a reward, not so much an additional challenge. Bosses can be hard. There are classic Sonic bosses that are hard, especially towards the end of the game, but sometimes you're I just want to see this cool Eggman robot or monster or whatever, and let me hit it 6 to 8 times and be done with it, and not spend an additional sometimes 5+ minutes in Sonic Superstars fighting a boss that, oh man, yeah.
You'll have phases.
The end bosses are approaching 10.
Oh
Yes.
God, you're right.
Yeah.
And they also had a bunch of one-hit kills, even if you had rings, which is a thing you should never do in a Sonic game ever.
No.
That's like the one rule. Ew.
Like, we're not talking about bottomless pits either. It's just like, they hit you, you got rings or shield, doesn't matter, you're dead. Hate that.
Ew. That feels like going.
I managed to cheat my way into fighting one of those last bosses with Supersonic once, and it still one-hit killed me.
Yep.
Gross.
Yep, that's a really good answer because Sonic Superstars also. I think my other answer, which nobody said, was going to be Sonic Unleashed. I wish the Werehog was more fun, and I think I can't remember. I'll have to look around for our show notes. I thought someone was working on completely redoing the combo system in that game to actually be, I don't know, good.
Possibly.
That's another one because people love Sonic Unleashed, and then I do too, but then I get to the Werehog and it's just bad God of War. I mean, none of us said Sonic 06, but then
that was going to be my number one.
Is that game salvageable? That's
I think that game is.
There are things there. I just think it was inadvisable to do it to begin with, to be honest.
Yes.
Here's the thing. That game is absolutely salvageable because we are literally seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Yes, the fan made Project 06. It's almost complete. It is almost content complete and is a complete salvage of that game.
The extra time would not have fixed, the stuff with the weird story and presentation, whatever. But if that, so much of that game is what it is because of, mandates from Sega corporate that just completely hampered it. Like, oh, you have to be out by this date, no exceptions. Oh, hey, we're actually splitting your team in two so half of them can work on the new Wii game. Oh, actually, Yuji Naka left and he's taking a bunch of people with him. Oh, no, actually, you still have to release on this date, no exceptions. Hey, all those changes that you made for this 360 demo, unfortunately, PS3 is the lead SKU, so you're going to have to undo all those and not get a chance to re-implement them. And it's like,
boy.
Everything wrong with that game ultimately comes down to just that team not being given the time and resources they needed to cook by Sega corporate. So
yeah, which is unfortunately the answer to a lot of people's problems with Sonic games.
Yeah.
Sega corporate, but...
Yeah,
Oh,
but Sonic
boy.
kissed a human princess, and that's the worst part about the whole experience.
Ugh.
Actually,
Not really.
well,
let's be fair. How many humans would also like to kiss Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, look, we've had this discussion before.
We have.
Well, and actually, good point, because, obviously, I think Sonic 06 is just kind of famous for just being weird. But actually, I've seen reviewers, actually play the game, and they're like, wow, the camera is really weird. Wow, the prompts for the levels when you start running are glitchy, and you fall through the floor a lot. And so it's like, yeah, kind of good point. The princess thing is a little silly, and everything else, by the way, it's not actually that fun of a game to play, which is too bad, because I can forgive a silly premise if the game's dope, So how interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, bringing up Sonic 06 is a good point to transition into our first of our quizzes.
All right.
So, this is something that we like to call A.B.C.D station, a reference that you will not understand.
I don't.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a series of 10 questions, 4 multiple choice answers per question, and you just got to pick the one you think's right.
Cool.
Very, very simple, very straightforward.
I might get this one right. I think I know kind of a lot of memes about this game. So let's see.
Question 1. What year was the very first Sonic the Hedgehog game released? A. 1989, B. 1991, C. 1992, or D. 2001?
The very first Sonic the Hedgehog.
The very
game.
first Sonic game.
Was it the title opener for the Genesis? I think the Genesis and the Super Nintendo came out the same year, which I think was 1991. I think I'm going to say D, 1991.
You are correct.
Yay!
The Genesis came out in 1989, the Super Nintendo in 1990, so there was a little bit of a gap before Sonic showed up.
What was the first game on the Genesis? It really wasn't Sonic?
No, the Genesis was mostly known for sports games back then.
I'm surprised about that.
Joe Montana's football.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was mostly sports games and arcade ports like Altered Beast. Then
Okay.
Sonic was what really put them on the map and help to really start putting up a fight against Nintendo.
Because I know that the Genesis isn't the first Sega console, but how interesting. Okay, well,
right.
Point is,
right.
yeah,
the first one was the Master System, which was their kind of 8-bit.
Not the Mega Drive.
Mega Drive is the name for the Genesis everywhere except North America.
Yep.
Oh, LOL.
Only you guys.
I genuinely didn't know that. That's really funny.
We're the weirdos.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. Well, hey.
Question 2. Which of these characters has Sonic the Hedgehog never crossed over with? A. The Flash. B. Mega Man. C. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Or D. Spawn.
Oh.
3 of these characters have had crossovers with Sonic. One of them has not.
Okay.
They're all comic crossovers.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I genuinely don't know. I am going to say I think I can believe that Sabrina the Teenage Witch and the Flash hung out with Sonic. I think I'm going to say that. What was the second one again? The first one was the Flash.
The Flash, Mega Man, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or Spawn.
And Spawn's like a
yes, like
horror
Todd
game.
McFarlane Spawn.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's right, but I think I'm going to say Mega Man. Let's say Mega Man. I can't picture Sonic and Mega Man outside of like Smash Brothers. Do you mean like Smash Brothers?
No, these are all comic crossovers.
Comic crossovers. Okay. I think I'm going to say Mega Man. That they only hung out in like Smash Brothers.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is The Flash.
What? That's the most obvious. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, that's cool. But they go, I see. Come on, there's so much potential for the Flash. Oh, that's funny.
You'd think so. But
wow.
no.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I want to see that one. That sounds funny. But I was like, that's believable.
That is one of those weird Archie. Well, so is the Spawn. Yes, the fact that Sonic is... Man, the Archie comics
Yeah, Spawn
were
was
wild.
just one of the characters they ran into in a big like crossover with Image Comics. So it's like Sonic's hanging out with Savage Dragon and the Max and all these other weirdos.
And prior to that, Sonic had an encounter with the Spawn Mower, but that was just a silly
I don't
joke.
count that. That's just very funny.
That is...
I can't remember the Sabrina crossover. Doesn't Sonic get hypnotized by her? Is it her evil... I can't remember her name, but yeah, like he gets pulled out of Sabrina's Sonic comic and gets hypnotized into, fighting her.
Spawn I can kind of believe because I think sometimes I can believe that they would make Sonic fight like somebody super scary because Sonic has to be like cool.
Yeah.
So that one I believe.
I don't even think Spawn in that official crossover. I think that is the only panel he's there.
Yeah, he only shows up in 2 panels. The rest is mostly just other Image Comics characters.
And Ken Penders is OCs, but that really would take too long to explain. But yes, Sonic and the Todd McFarlane Spawn have met before.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
But not the Flash. The only connection we have is that Sonic read a lot of Flash comics in the live-action movie. So
yeah, you did.
Oh, that's funny. That's true. I guess it's too obvious. 2 guys go fast.
I'm sure it's a matter of time. Really, Sega? You couldn't have waited like a week to announce that whole DC crossover? Let us have the episode out for a couple of days without being completely outdated? You're just going to throw that out there so that we have to edit this in at the last minute? Make us all sound like fools? God, I hate crossovers.
Yeah.
Right. Question 3. In the awful 2006 Sonic the Hedgehog game,
watch
which
out, Luke.
special guest actress voiced Princess Elise? A. Mila Kunis, B. Lacey Chabert, C. Hilary Duff, or D. Allison Hannigan?
It is Mila Kunis, isn't it? I think I do know that. I think it is Mila Kunis.
I'm sorry you got the wrong Meg from Family Guy. It is Lacey Chabert.
The queen of Hallmark Christmas movies herself, Lacey Chabert.
What? That's so funny. What a funny connection.
That is what I always point to of how, that game has questionable voice acting, and she is not any better, even though she was a established actress who has delivered
an established
solid
voice actor. She'd done like multiple seasons of Wild Thornberries by that point.
Wild Thornberries, and even she has some really, really awkward delivery in that game.
Oh, that's funny. Wow, so I guess...
Which is how you know it wasn't the actor's fault.
No.
It was all the material and direction they were given.
Yeah.
Shakespeare couldn't read those lines,
And
Question 4. Which of these Sonic the Hedgehog characters has never been given their own spin-off? Is it A, Tails, B, Knuckles, C, Amy, or D, Shadow?
Okay, it's not Knuckles or Shadow, because I know we got Knuckles Chaotic on the Sega 32X, which is a really successful console. And then you've got... I know Shadow's had his own game. My instinct is to say I didn't think Tails or Amy had their own game.
One of them has had 2 games.
Has had 2 games. I'm going to guess that Amy has had some games. I'm thinking my answer is Tails.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. And I'm incorrect because Tails had 3 games.
Tails had 3 games. Wow, what are they called? I actually have never heard of them.
You're right, actually.
Yeah, there is Tails Sky Patrol and Tails Adventure for the Sega Game Gear, the handheld system.
Oh.
And there is Tails and the Music Maker, an edutainment game for the Sega Pico.
How could we ever forget that?
That sounds fun.
After we spent that much time trying to work out what a Mozart track was.
A system that Jeremy owns.
But but is broken because it spent the last 15 years in my attic, but I can't bear to get rid of it. I'll fix it someday.
For context, the Sega Pico was a little laptop style system with a touchpad, and the cartridges had books in them where it would switch between different screens if you thumbed to different pages of the book. So it was something.
Yeah, pretty successful from what I remember it. Yeah, there's a picture.
Wow.
I think literally designed for preschoolers, and I think was pretty successful in Japan. They even ended up getting some licensed games. I think there were at least 2 Pokemon games on.
I think there were 4 actually.
The Pico.
How interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot.
But yeah, poor Amy has not received an official spin-off title, and
I'm hoping though, one, maybe.
Just gotta ask Sega, why do they hate women?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. Amy has come much more to the forefront of Sonic now. It's entirely possible.
Yeah, I think you could absolutely base a fun spin-off game of Amy on an adventure.
Yeah.
I hate to say, and not that I think that characters should be categorized by gender or anything, but I guess, would you agree that she's probably not the most popular female character? I mean, I would say there's a couple other lady, if we wanted to have a Princess Peach Showtime kind of character game for Sonic, I think I like Cream the Rabbit more. You know what I'm saying? I like Blaze the Cat more,
From the fandom, I think Amy is still up there number 1.
Yeah,
I think absolutely.
More than Rogue, more than or Rouge.
People
Rouge the
like
Bat
Rouge
is popular with certain people.
I see, with certain circles. Okay, I guess that's true. I guess I don't see I like Blaze the Cat a lot. I tend to like kitty cat characters.
Yes.
But I guess you're right. I guess Amy is more kind of iconic than Blaze.
Yeah,
I think that's it. A lot of the girl characters in Sonic are very well liked nowadays. I think back in the day there was more on the early internet there was more shipping wars, and you had more people vehemently hating other female characters. Now I think it's pretty good. I think Sonic gets held up as a franchise with a lot of pretty well known female characters, but I think Amy's probably still up there. If you did if you showed a crowd of 100 people who is this character, they would probably be able to pick out Amy before Blaze. I think my mom probably knows Amy Rose's name before Blaze or Tangle and Whisper from the IDW comics, but
Yeah, Amy's got a lot more broad appeal than a lot of the other female characters, just because of how long she's been in there and her design, and she's not just popular with gooners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair, because, like, if I look at Amy, I'm like, oh, that's a Sonic character. If I look at Blaze or even Cream, I might be like, they could be from kind of any cutesy animal looking. Like, they still have those, like, Sonic eyes, but, like, kind of not quite as much, whereas, like, Amy is definitely... Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I believe that. All right.
Yeah.
and we all love it. We all love Amy. here.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
great. She deserves her own game.
All right. Question 5. In the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, which actor voices Sonic? A. Ben Schwartz, B. Pete Davidson, C. Danny Pudi, or D. Bobby Moynihan?
I want to say Jaleel White. Come on, no, it's Ben Schwartz in the live action movies with Jim Carrey. I think it's Ben Schwartz.
That is correct.
Yeah. No, it's Jaleel. Where is he? Come on. They couldn't get him.
Well, he's on there somewhere. in
He's
Sonic's
around.
history.
I feel like if you asked him, he might want to do a
He's
Sonic
actually-
thing again.
Yeah,
He was in that fan film.
he's kind of
Yeah.
young, isn't he? Like, isn't he only?
I think he's what, maybe late
50s or
40s?
something? Early 50s, yeah?
Yeah, even.
Something.
I've said this before. He did a couple of Sonic fan films where he was doing the Sonic voice, but then he showed up as the as a a guest star on the 2017 DuckTales, and I think he was just using like his normal speaking voice, and I was like, that's a grown-up Jaleel Sonic right there.
Aw.
Yeah.
And so I would absolutely love to hear him in some official capacity do a Sonic if it was in the cards.
That's funny.
All right. Question 6. Dr. Eggman / Robotnik has had many sidekicks over the years in various cartoons. Which of these are not the names of two of his henchbots? Is it A. Scratch and Grounder, B. Deco and Boko, C. Orbot and Cubot, or D. Moto and Buzz?
Ooh, I don't think I know. I'm gonna guess. I'm 100% guessing, but I am going off of what I think are likeliest to be Japanese and or English puns, and I think the first one sounds least likely to be like Deco and Poco or something like that. I think sounds enough like it would be a joke in Japanese that I think I want to. I'm gonna say the first the first answer.
A. Scratch and Grounder?
Yeah, I feel like those are difficult. Those are too complicated names to give to those characters. Like, I feel like all of those characters must be a meme, right? Okay, yeah, that's my answer.
That is incorrect. Those were his sidekicks in the American cartoon Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog,
Oh, I should.
which was the one that was running on weekday mornings at the same time as the one with Sally Acorn.
Okay.
So-
Well, then what
so
is the answer?
correct
Ah.
answer is D. Moto and Buzz. Deco and Boko are from Sonic X, and Orbot and Cubot are from Sonic Boom and literally everything else since like 2010.
Okay. Buzz. Yeah, I guess it's kind of too obvious for a robot name. Okay. Oh, I'm interesting.
There are what do you call it? Sonic enemies named Motobugs and Buzz Bombers. but-
That's where I got us.
That's why I asked sneaky. So that's not random. Okay.
Question 7. This might be one of the tougher ones.
All right.
Which of these obscure handheld consoles did not receive an official Sonic the Hedgehog game?
Whoa.
Is it A, the Neo Geo Pocket Color, B, the Tiger Gamecom, C, the Tapwave Zodiac, or D, the Nokia N-Gage?
Oh. Okay, my heart wants to say the Tiger Gamecom because I know about that one because it has a Duke Nukem game where the voice acting is like surprisingly okay. I think even like the Angry Video Game Nerd talked about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that actually is pretty good. I think that's my answer then, because if there was a Sonic game on that, I feel like we would have made fun of that. But there's actually I think the Duke Nukem game is all that they could afford. I'm going to say the Tiger Gamecom.
Oh, I am sorry. That is incorrect.
What Sonic game is on the... How can they afford 2 IPs?
They barely could afford it because Sonic Jam for the Gamecom is one of the worst Sonic games ever made. Like,
That doesn't
genuinely.
surprise me.
It's real bad.
Ooh.
There's a really good run of Sonic Jam on a couple years ago for Games Done Quick during the... I can't remember if it's the Sonic block or the Awful block.
I believe either one.
Wow.
Yes, very, very good. People should go look that one up, because it really has to be seen to be believed.
Not to be confused with the Sega Saturn Sonic Jam, which is rather good, but just a games compilation, really. This is a notorious one.
It's not Gamecom, but it's not Game.com, but it is. But
it's
Lord.
weird.
Yeah.
What a mess.
I mean, John St. John's voice acting is good enough to make anything sound kind of badass, but like...
All respect for my Big the Cat.
Yeah. He's such a cool guy. I really like following him too. But how interesting. Okay, well then, so which one is it? Because I feel like
the correct answer is the Tapwave Zodiac, because the Neo Geo Pocket Color got Sonic Pocket Adventure, which we
I think I knew
just
that.
recently replayed, is very good. And the Nokia N-Gage got Sonic N, which is a port of the original Sonic Advance, but with like a vertical oriented screen instead of horizontal, so you can't see what's coming in front of you, and it's hard to play.
I believe that. I feel like I think I knew that there was something on the Nokia, but I love those Sonic Advance games. How dare they disrespect the Sonic Advance games? Those are my favorites.
They tried. They tried.
They did their best, but it was not very good.
Blah.
The only good one here is Sonic Pocket Adventure, which we rather enjoyed playing.
It was quite good. All right. Question 8. Sonic and Knuckles on the Genesis featured lock-on technology, allowing you to stick another cartridge on top to unlock special features. Which of these games did not feature any lock-on bonuses? A. Sonic the Hedgehog, B. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, C. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, or D. Sonic 3D Blast?
I genuinely don't know. I'm going to say that maybe So, okay, let me make sure I understand. All of these games were programmed where you could add an add-on if you were playing the game.
So the way Sonic and Knuckles worked is that it was a special cartridge where it had a little thing where you could insert another Genesis cartridge on top of it. And when you connected the two together, that would unlock bonuses in certain games.
Okay, I want to say something. Okay, so my guess is going to be, I want to say the first one, because maybe if that one came out first, it wasn't programmed with that in mind. So I'm going to say the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. Does not work with it.
It's a good thought, but unfortunately the answer is Sonic 3D Blast.
Oh, so the odd man out.
Yeah, so if you connect it to Sonic 2, you can play as Knuckles. If you connect it to Sonic 3, it basically completes the game, because it was originally going to be one full game, but they couldn't get it done in time for the launch, so they basically split it in half and put out the other half as a second game that you could connect it to. And then if you connect it to the first Sonic the Hedgehog, it lets you play a special mini-game.
Technically, if you put almost any game, Mega Drive Genesis game on that, it will let you play one of those mini-games. But if it's Sonic 1, you get endless permutations.
The full version of it, basically.
Yeah.
I think I've shared my story of, as a kid, getting Sonic and Knuckles and thinking, but what if I plugged in Disney's Aladdin? Can I play as Knuckles?
I would try that.
And
feels like a mad science experiment. I would do that.
It was a simpler time when video games were literally magic.
It's true.
Because we didn't know any better.
All right. Question 9. What are the names of the adorable virtual pets you can raise in the Sonic Adventure games, or the Sonic Advance games? Is it A. Tims, B. Chow, C. Poglings, or D. Hatchie?
Is it Chow? I gotta know this. Why don't I know this? I think it's Chow. See,
it is Chow.
Yes. Okay, I knew that. I love those games. Yeah. Oh, I was embarrassed. I was about to forget. No, yeah, Chow. I do remember that.
Cream the Rabbit's best friend Cheese is her Chow.
Oh, yes.
True.
Yes, I knew that. And Cream is, I think the first time you can play her, I don't know if that's literally her first game, but it's the first time you can play her is Sonic Advance 2, I think.
That's correct.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
Correct in both accounts.
I don't think I knew the little things in Balan Wonderworld were Tims. Yes. I know it's not spelled right, but I just see giant suede boots walking around.
I have a more weeb answer than what you just said. I think of Chilchuck Tims. That's his last name.
That's
yeah.
True.
All right. A bunch of lanky chill chucks walking around.
Yeah.
I'd play it.
Wine
I'd
and
play
beer.
Dope. I want a game called like Chill Chuck's Alcoholic Adventure. I don't know.
All right, we're on to our final question.
All right, I'm ready.
Which of these is a real thing that Dr. Eggman / Robotnik did in a Sonic the Hedgehog comic? A. Became a professional wrestler named El Gran Gordo and enjoyed it so much that he gave up villainy. B. Threatened to not only defeat professional driver / weirdo conspiracy theorist Danica Patrick in a race, but retroactively invalidate all her previous victories. C. Was visited by the spirit of Father Christmas in a vain attempt to change his evil ways. Or D. All of the above.
Oh, I actually really believe he did all three of those. I think I've seen, unless I'm making it up, I think I've seen the Danica Patrick thing. I want to say I think he's actually done all of those things. I'll choose D.
You are correct. Every single one of those things happened in a Sonic comic at some point or another.
Okay.
You took the risk, unlike Derek.
Well, see, I believe that he's a wrestler because he's an Olympic athlete. You know, him and his little nippy nips are out in the Mario and Sonic games, and if I'm gonna get his nips, I'm gonna get Wario's nips too, and my life is full. You know, so I believe it because he's an Olympic athlete officially.
Yep, I think Eggman, he has tremendous core strength.
I believe it. Maybe he skips leg day because his little yeggies look a little skinny, but I don't know. Fitness takes all shapes, and I believe that in my heart genuinely. So
exactly,
I'm saying.
You know, I'm sorry if I gave it away partially, but when you really have the Danica Patrick crossover read so plainly like that,
it was very out of place.
Yeah, I think I have
there
seen
she
that.
is. Oh my god,
That's so funny.
Eggman's like, I'll tarnish every racing victory you've ever had. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. Trust me, you don't have it on its own.
And that last one happened in Sonic the Comic specifically, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's Father Christmas, because it was the UK in that time period.
Oh, interesting. Yes, my brain auto-translated that to Santa, and I'm like, yeah, Santa would hang out with Sonic. So I believed that one too. I haven't seen it, but I believe it.
They were very distinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Mm-hmm. I remember I liked that Father Christmas.
Oh,
Isn't that also around the
design.
same time that the magical unicorn wizard handed Tails a sniper rifle and told him to kill Dr. Robotnik?
I feel like it
Oh!
might have been.
Is that where
I
that
think
meme
it
comes
might
from?
have
Where it's
happened just
like,
before.
Yeah.
we might have to kill this guy, Tails. Oh, man, is that where that meme comes from?
Well, and then Tails refuses to shoot him, and the wizard is like, that was the test, because, I don't know, centrism, I suppose.
I mean, if you miss, who knows what's going to happen, really?
Oh, no.
It was
Edit button.
I get it. Oh, wow. I don't
there
know. Oh, that's so funny.
It's one of my favorite out of context panels of all time.
Okay.
God, I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of our questions, and you got 4 out of 10 right.
Yay! That's pretty good.
Nice job.
Not bad.
I think
You've
even the
got
ones
some
that
extra
I-
credit still.
Yeah, well, and even the ones that I got wrong, I think I kind of had a logical approach to them, you know? So I'm proud. My heart's warm.
There were just a couple that logic would not have helped you.
Because it's Sonic.
So yeah, let's get back to what other questions you have about this wide, weird world that may or may not now be inspired by the things you've just been taught.
So, okay, let me think of a good question. Because I genuinely like talking to, like, you know, I love talking to super fans about lore. Okay, so I want it. What Sonic lore do I want? Okay, I remember that, like, obviously, okay, I'll put it this way. We can read, like, the comics and the games and stuff, and sometimes you can tell that the directors or the artists or somebody wanted to push the plot a little darker or a little heavier, and you can tell that corporate, like, got in there and told them not to. Can you guys identify any times that happened to you and you were like, oh, come on, do this a little better? It could have been more emotional, it could have been, but you can tell that they were held back. Not necessarily like, oh, this game could have been good from a production standpoint, but more like a character or plot moment that you're like, man, I can tell a creative person wanted that to be different, and it probably was just did need to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that way about the Frozen movie. I think Frozen is pretty good, but was just an actually pretty good story crammed into 1 hour, and I'm like,
yeah,
it could have been good, so I like it, but
they forced that one musical number with the trolls, which nobody liked.
Yeah, cut that and like actually put Anna and Elsa on screen together, which happens like never. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, how would you apply that? Is there any Sonic where you're like, oh man, if this was this much darker, I would have loved it way more. It's fine, but it could have been better, and you can kind of tell that it was creatively stymied.
Are we counting darker scenes in Sonic X that got edited out of the 4Kids dub and completely neutered them?
I would count that, yes, because then you're like, oh man,
there's a lot of those.
What's the one that bugs you the most? That is my question.
There's a clear one there, I think.
Yeah, the one that I think that the three of us immediately think of is, am I right in saying it's Molly?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Molly in season 3.
So for context, there is an episode in the 3rd season of Sonic X where the whole 3rd season is about Sonic and friends basically traveling through space to fight off these like alien menaces that are stealing the life force from planets.
This is in the TV show.
Destroyed. Yes.
Okay.
This is the anime series from the mid 2000s that got brought over by 4Kids. That was so popular that they actually the dub commissioned 26 more episodes. And this is that season.
Okay.
But in one episode, Shadow has his own solo adventure where he meets a girl named Molly who is fighting to stop these aliens from attacking her planet. Like, all of the other people on her planet are cowards. They're not fighting back. They're humanoid aliens.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of now that I think about it, it kind of feels very like a Gundam side story.
Yeah,
too.
It's very Gundam. But basically, the episode ends with, Shadow is fighting these aliens. Shadow and Rouge are fighting these aliens off, and they, Shadow's like, Molly, go, get back. It's too dangerous. And it shows her and her big spaceship flying off. The part that they cut in the 4Kids version is Molly basically suddenly flying back and talking about how Shadow inspired her to do what's right and crashing into this ship in a kamikaze style suicide thing where the ship blows up, she perishes in the explosion, and that drives Shadow to, go super and completely take out all of these, invading aliens. And they completely cut that out of the American version, which, that's one thing where, they're standing over Molly's grave and it's she gave her life for what she believed in, she was the best of us. Whereas the English version, they literally photoshopped out her grave, and Shadow's like, she's still out there somewhere and I'm going to find her. And it's just completely news. And then again, in the last episode, the very last scene of Shadow is him standing over her grave, in one final goodbye. And they cut that out too. So.
Isn't it funny how they commissioned this and they were like, no, we're not using that.
And even in the original uncut version, it's not it's a very TV PG death.
Yeah.
It's a bright flash of light, her spaceship is gone. So it's not incredibly violent. You just have characters react to it. And, there's always the argument with any 4Kids thing. They were working with American broadcast standards, so what are you going to do? But it's kind of the principle of and I'm sure you're familiar with 4Kids.
You watched
it's the principle of is that they never released any other version of the show.
Right.
There wasn't and on the DVD, we'll leave that scene in and it'll be dubbed. I think Dragon Ball Z was doing that at the time. You would have uncut English dubs. And so, yeah, that's a pretty big one. The ones I think we've talked about, there are a couple of points in the Archie comics in the later years where they did get notes back from Sega to tone down heavy displays of emotion or violence. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. It's basically an alternate universe where Sonic has basically, the universe was changed for the worse. And so he's literally homeless, like, yeah, there it is. Luke has posted a thing. He's homeless, he's lost his family, and they just got a note back saying, like, Sonic shouldn't cry that much. And it's, it's one of those where it's like, yes, I kind of see it, but then as an artiste, you're like, yeah, but I also don't like that they're, making someone go back over. Oh, I do have a small nitpick one. The current comics, sometimes the artists get back things that aren't on model and will be changed for the trade paperback, and I hate that. There's a very funny, it's a tiny little funny cartoon drawing of Blaze the cat. And they made the artist go back and change how her mouth was open. They were like, oh, it's too cartoony. And it made me so mad because come on, don't do that. There is no reason to do that. These characters do not need to be so on model that they're boring. But I think the Molly Sonic X episode is a big one. I can't think of any, those are ones that we know of that were known changes. There are probably a couple of games to where
I know Forces they changed a lot of stuff between original revision and the final game.
Yeah, that's probably another one to where it's not even that I would want it to be more darker. I just would want it to be more coherent, because that's another game that has had its production script kind of leaked, and you can look at the final game and look at the script and be like, oh boy, this could have been much better if they would have, had a better editor. I'll say that. But I mean, Sonic is usually, when it does like drama and darkness well, like in, say, Sonic Adventure 2, where it's a perfect balance, in my opinion, of, yes, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog game with these funny talking Japanese animals, but also we are going to take like this, that's the game that introduces Shadow the Hedgehog, who has an incredibly tragic backstory. Yeah. And it's never played as a joke. And that is the kind of sincerity I like in Sonic. Yeah. There are some games where I think they could have that tone better.
There's room for that.
As much as, we talked about it is memed on, like the fact that Sonic dies in Sonic 06, like, I don't hate that concept. I just think it's pulled off poorly. Like if you've ever seen it where the crystalline hedgehog bad guy just no clips out of the floor and stabs Sonic with his Halo energy sword. Like, oh, that scene could have been better. So yeah, I think Sonic is usually pretty good in, oh man, see, Luke just ruining my concentration by posting the things I'm talking about. I think that fits your question. It's like, I'm almost open for anything Sonic to tackle, like he's done time travel. He's gone into 1001 Arabian Nights. It's just all about the striking the right tone and getting it right. And, I also like, just to so I can shut up. I like it when Sonic is funny and tells jokes too. I think that absolutely. Is also... I think that is also perfectly welcome in the franchise. Like we've been saying, almost every game is different. So every game does not need the same thing. That's why Sonic does not crack jokes and like make fun of Shadow's tragic backstory because that would undermine it. Same thing with like, Sonic's joking around in amusement park in Sonic Colors. You wouldn't want Shadow to wander up and say, yeah, this reminds me of my dead best friend, Maria. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that, Sonic.
That just ends there. Yeah. No.
By the way, one example of where it's a good thing they changed it, because that's where my mind immediately went to before I heard the end of Julie's question, was that one moment in Archie Sonic where you clearly tell the dialogue has been changed right after evil Sonic posing as regular Sonic finishes a quote-unquote nap with Bunny Rabbit. And the implication there being, you can decide for yourself, children.
Unless you ask Ken Penders, well, he'll confirm it.
No.
Well, yes. Ken Penders wants us to know that Jeffrey St. John had sex with Princess Sally, so...
He calls her babe. Oh.
It's so bad.
Ugh.
Like, it's
But you can see the
boy.
change in font there, right?
yeah.
Funny.
Goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yep,
so
that's
funny.
a good one too.
Good luck with your parents. Thank you.
Yeah, no you don't get no context for that, Julie. We are not explaining.
Yeah,
Okay, that's it.
That's a rabbit hole too deep for us. Thank you.
I like that.
Mm.
She's married to the French guy, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, they got together. I knew that.
Yes, this was before.
Okay.
I think they were on a break at the time. They were on a
friends.
That's funny. Antoine. Yeah, I remember him.
How about we move on to another fun little quiz?
I'm ready.
Woohoo!
Got my 40%
All right,
going
so
on.
This one is something called Sonic Said. So we're going to give you a bunch of quotes. Then you need to tell us if they are things that Sonic the Hedgehog has said in some official media, be it the game, a cartoon, a comic. Basically, you just need to tell us, is this a Sonic quote or is this not a Sonic quote?
I'm going to be very bad at this because I know so much about YouTube poop that I'm going to be waiting for you to quote Walrus Guy and Quibby Jibby, my favorite YouTube poopers from 2009. Kids, you're not
the
important.
classics.
You're not cool. You're dumb. You have a problem learning how to read. What do? First, you drink liquor. That's what Sonic says. I hope that's right.
Honestly, you knowing YouTube poops might help you in
Okay.
this quiz.
Okay.
All right, so Jeremy, as our resident Sonic voice actor, would you like to read through these?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure.
Okay, that's number one.
So is that a Sonic quote or not?
I think you're just a good enough voice actor that I think that's... I'm going to say yes.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
from Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, no, not Sonic Adventure 2, not Sonic Advance 2. I was like, oh, I would have known that. No, there wasn't any voice acting in that one.
I'm gonna put the Sonic spin on all of these, so I'll try and be confusing.
Number 2.
Aw, yeah! This is happening!
I think that sounds too memey. I think I'm going to say I don't think... I think I'm going to say no. He doesn't actually say that. Or he does in like a fan thing, but not real.
That actually is a Sonic quote. That is his first line in Sonic Adventure 1.
Dang it.
And that's why it is very memed.
It's real memey, isn't it? Okay.
It's pretty memey. All right, number 3.
Got a speed keyed.
Okay. I never even heard of that. No, I don't think that has to be... that's got to be a meme. I think I don't believe it.
That is a recurring phrase of Sonic's from both of the early Sonic cartoons,
No,
Adventures of Sonic and the Saturday Morning Show.
What is keyed?
That's a Jaleel Sonic.
What is
Him
I
saying
think
kid in a
he's-
weird voice.
In Adventures in particular, he would force rhymes all the time.
I should have known that then. You're right. Because I'm like,
He says that to Tails quite a bit, because I think he's calling him Kid, but it's you gotta rhyme Kid with Speed, so it's either got a Spid Kid or got a Speed Key.
oh, that's so funny. Okay, no. Okay. Man, okay.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Keyed.
All right.
Oh, that's funny.
Number 4.
All happiness is temporary, and suffering is eternal.
Okay. I don't think Sonic would say that. Wouldn't Shadow maybe would say that.
You are correct. That is not Sonic.
Okay,
You
yeah.
made that up.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Needed
okay.
that
So
help.
I assumed it was the emo guy from Sonic Lost World, voiced by
Sam Riegel.
yeah, it is Sam Riegel, isn't it?
Number 5.
My, that's a pretty snazzy performance there.
Oh, I think he does say that. That's a pretty snazzy performance. I actually think he does say that. I'm going to say that that's actually true.
That is correct. That is his first line in Sonic 2006.
06. Yeah, because it's like the fireworks and he sees the princess and he's like, he's got to be snarky, like, because he's, he strikes a pose and like the girl's like scared. I've seen that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Hang
Snazzy.
on a moment. I thought the first line he said in that game was, haha, one!
Oh, no. But snazzy is such a Sonic word. So yes,
Yeah.
that one. Kitty cat.
I agree now that I think about it.
That does feel like a Sonic word. Number 6.
Shut up, Tails!
I don't think Sonic would say that to Tails. That's too mean. I'm gonna say no.
That is incorrect.
Does he tell Tails to shut up?
He tells Tails to shut up in the 90s Sonic OVA series.
The original Sonic anime.
Yep.
I'm shocked. That's too cruel.
Where Tails is, Sonic is trying to get a tan on the beach, and Tails is like, hey, Sonic, look at me and my boogie board. Hey, look at this thing I built. Oh, no, it's on fire. And Sonic just gets fed up and tells him to shut up.
That's so funny.
To be fair, Tails does call him a big idiot just a few minutes later when Sonic won't help rescue someone.
It's true.
Rude. All right. I believe it.
Number 7.
Okay, I believe it.
You're too slow.
Okay, I have heard that one. In fact, Sonic said that to me personally when I was Luigi, and I think that's very rude. So I remember him saying that to my face. I was like, say that to my face.
You are correct. That is his taunt from Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Yeah. Oh, but it's not an ultimate, is it? Does he go, come on, step it up, or something like that in ultimate?
I think it's like Sonic Speed.
That's very funny. I don't remember where I had to save him in the World of Light. It's on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
He was right at the end.
Yeah. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was too violent for my heart. I actually screamed and fell off my chair when they announced, you know what I'm talking about, when they announced the Castlevania characters. I actually died.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Luigi died.
who freaking?
But he got better.
Who wrote this? I like the tweet that came out. Didn't the guy tweet after, because people understandably completely freaked out, and the I don't know if it was what's his name, Sakurai.
Sakurai.
I don't know if it was Sakurai himself, but somebody said Luigi's fine on tweet. That's the only tweet. But anyway.
And then the Sephiroth trailer comes out and he stabs Mario through the overall.
I'm like, you leave him alone.
It's fine.
So good though.
Alone. Terrible.
He got better. They got
better. They're fine.
They got better.
They got better.
All right. Number 8.
Gotta go fast.
I don't think he actually said that. I think that's a meme.
Well, it was for a while.
No.
And then they leaned into it.
They added it to a game. Okay, that's actually funny though, because then they can own it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was originally just part of the theme song for Sonic X, the 4Kids version, and then it became so meme that they started inserting references to it into the games and the movies and stuff.
That's really funny.
I'm personally ambivalent on it.
I loved the level of enthusiasm you gave that read, by the way.
Well, I was kind of trying to go for, when he says it in the movie, it's very understated. But also I was like, let's get this one out of the way.
It has kind of fucked up people's perception of Sonic a little bit, in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, well, I need to play this game. If I play this game, I've got to go fast, right? That's what they tell you. No, they don't.
Yeah.
It's just Sonic. It's just it's a 4Kids theme. They came up with something catchy that will get stuck in your head, and to be fair, it worked.
It did. Number 9.
I'm so cool, I could solve global warming.
No, that sounds like the reason why I'm struggling is because I remember that the animated show with Sally Acorn actually had a lot of environmentalist messages, and
it's
so
true.
I feel like he didn't say that because I don't think they would call it global warming. I'm going to say no, even though that I would believe it if he did say it because there was a lot of environmental messages in that cartoon.
You are correct.
Okay.
He did not say that. That's another one we made up.
You just made it up. Okay.
It is funny because I was watching the 1987 Ninja Turtles cartoon, and global warming came up in that, and I was like,
and they called it global warming. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe actually
it was weird.
Maybe that's what they used to call it.
Planet thing too.
Until they called it climate change. Oh, all right, fair. See, it's believable that he would have said that because I was like, I kind of remember that. Okay. But yeah, no, I feel like I also believe that he didn't say it exactly like that.
Number 10.
I sure hope she made lots of spaghetti.
Oh, I don't know who said that.
I know you do.
You know who said that? Mama Luigi said that. No, Sonic did not say that, but I know who did.
That's correct.
Yes. Gay Luigi from Hotel Mario.
Luigi, you fat sack of crap. The princess.
You got a little piece of spaghetti on your overalls.
Sometimes I'll put I don't know. They haven't exactly aged well, but I'll put Quibby Jibby or Walrus Guy on in the background if I'm just like needing to go brain dead, you know?
I'm the same way with Fresh Prince of Blair. Number 11.
If someone touches you in a place or a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good.
Oh, he totally said that. Except in my favorite YouTube poop, he goes, if someone...
You're too prepared.
Yeah, if he says, if somebody touches you in a place that feels uncomfortable, that's too bad. So what do? First, you drink liquor. Then you touch a police officer. That's one of my favorite YouTube poops.
I remember that so vividly.
You have a problem learning how to read. So it's a little different. But yeah, no, totally. That's
I told you knowing YouTube poops would come in handy.
Yeah, that came in so handy.
Number 12.
Stay away from liquor, kids. Like all drugs, alcohol is dangerous, and you could get hooked.
No!
Speaking of which.
My instinct is to say that yes, he did say that, because there's clearly a place where, and it's too good of a sentence mashing for Sonic to not have actually said the word liquor. You know what I'm saying? I think he said it. I actually think he said that.
You are correct. That is also from
I haven't heard him say it, but I'm like,
Sonic PSA.
Oh, that's so funny.
I would have given you that one just because, you quoted almost the entire line with that last one because of the sentence mixing in a YouTube.
Oh, I gotta find that. That's funny. I haven't seen it, but I know it just from. I know Walrus Guy's good at, or I feel like this Walrus Guy's good at sentence mixing, but he can't be that good. First, drink liquor.
You can easily find compilations of all those PSAs on YouTube. All right. Number 13.
You're no webhead, so keep away from that Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. I think that's gonna go over too many kids' heads. I want to say I think he didn't say that. He would make a Spider-Man reference. Yeah, I don't think he would make a Spider-Man reference.
Too litigious.
Yeah.
Too litigious.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell me where that is. That from something, or did you make
Chris made that up?
No, I just made that up.
Okay.
Just
I thought that might have been from like a
PSAs.
like a 70s Spider-Man PSA.
Number 14.
Let's do it to it.
That might be another taunt from Smash Brothers, isn't it? I believe he said that.
He did say that. That was one of his catchphrases from the old TV shows.
He didn't say it in Smash Brothers? Okay. No, I totally.
Brothers.
I can't remember if he said it out loud in modern media. He said it in Frontiers.
He said it in Frontiers.
Oh yeah, he sure did. Hell
Maybe
yeah.
that's where I've heard the voice.
Because Ian Flynn was writing. So
I feel like
I remember. I popped off when that happened.
Yeah, I feel like I remember
the thing that I know.
I remember hearing it in a recent game, so maybe if it wasn't Smash Brothers, then maybe I've heard a clip from that, so that makes sense.
Number 15.
My contract does not mention pain.
I don't think he said that. That sounds like the kind of thing that sounds like Solid Snake would say or something. I think I'm going to say no.
That's correct. That is a Bubsy.
Oh
no!
that is a
Bubsy. Well, okay.
Oh boy!
I love. No, I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna own it. I love Bubsy. Bet your bottom. What could possibly go wrong? Which is so funny. Like, I feel like the Super Nintendo games were actually pretty clever.
I know. I remember renting maybe the first two. They're not horrendous. I'm more like the modern internet's version of Bubsy, who is married to Gex the Gecko.
I didn't know that. But yeah, I think
it's our headcanon. We're sticking to it.
I think I think sometimes, I feel like I remember him getting clever, he quoted something every time he started a level, and my cousins owned that game I remember it being kind of a slippery side-scroller, but it was clever. I mean, it was colorful. Yeah. I remember really liking it. We don't talk about the 3D Bubsies.
Okay.
No, except what is it?
The Bubsy visits the James Turrell art exhibit.
Yes, thank you. That's great.
Well, if you love Bubsy the Bobcat, don't listen to our fanfiction episode with Marin.
Yeah, that went some places.
Hey, speaking of dark storytelling.
Yeah. Number 16.
I did a little shopping, grabbed a bite to eat, and trashed a giant killer robot.
That I believe. I think that's how he would describe his day. I believe that.
That's correct. That is from Sonic Colors.
Yeah, totally believe that. Because he would. I can hear that in his. I mean, I literally hear that from your impression, but I can see that being programmed into a game or something. That's how he would describe it. So that's funny. I totally believe it.
That's a Sonic being silly funny that I
Yeah.
Yep.
His personality's
Number-
fun,
The
you know?
internet doesn't.
Number 17.
If I had a life, I'd be glad to get back to it.
I don't think Sonic would say that he doesn't have a life. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, appropriately enough, that's a Gex.
Of course Sonic has a life. He gets an extra one every 100 rings.
Does Gex not love his life with his husband?
Gex spends all day watching TV and sounding like Dana Gould. He's got a hard existence.
Oh, Gex's problem is that he was on the 3DO, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless him.
At some point.
We'll see if that collection coming out does anything. All right. Number 18.
What are you? Some kind of goat?
Ooh. I think he would say that. Yeah, maybe even one of the movies or something. I feel like I saw the movie, the first movie recently on an airplane. So I feel like, did he say that?
That is the correct place to watch one of those movies.
Yeah, all right.
Low stakes.
I think I'll say that he does say that somewhere. Yeah.
That is incorrect. That's a Spyro quote.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Spyro is dope.
Oh yeah, and I'm a fawn, you dork.
There you go.
I know that one.
That's funny.
I feel like, okay, maybe it's just me. I feel like Sonic probably wouldn't question someone's identity like that.
He might have said it to that one dude in Slat AM.
Yeah,
Griff?
that's different. Griff?
Yeah.
Well, Griff was a fuckboy, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come down to the last few. Number 19.
I don't much like the look of your face. Am I complaining?
That's a pretty snarky thing. I think I believe he'd say that if he was like forced to team up with somebody that he didn't want to. I think he would say that.
That is correct. Who did he say that line to in Sonic the Comic, Chris?
Why, he said that to his best friend, Tails the Fox.
Oh, and isn't at the same time a deadly arrow is flying towards
Yes,
his
it
head?
is.
What do you mean? Because
he is much more what do you call it? Sonic is his insecure, very boyish, we love our friends, but we all have to pick on each other. Like that kind of portrayal. That is in Sonic the Comic.
Sonic the Comic sort of like took the idea that, well, how do we write a cool character?
Yeah.
Well, they suck.
Toxic masculinity.
He's going to be bad. He's
Yeah.
going to be a bad friend.
actually fair,
That's how they interpret
that was such the sense of humor of like I've actually critiqued that in literature that I'm sort of exhausted by now, is that I think that was such being a snark was such the sense of humor of the like late 90s, definitely the 2000s going into the 2010s. Yeah, 100% agree with that. That was just a sign of the times, I think. My interpretation of the quotation makes me think of, though, is remember that episode of Pokemon where Meowth and Pikachu are like latched together via like a waistband?
Oh,
That's what made me
yeah.
think of that, is like if Sonic and Eggman had that situation, and I'm writing this down for a fanfic, but if they had that situation, and Eggman would be like, oh, I hate being attached to this hedgehog, and then Sonic would be like, yeah, well, I don't love looking at your face either, but at least I'm not complaining about it. Like that's the situation in which I could see that quotation.
Yeah.
I think that
being,
happened
you know?
once.
Oh, probably. It's a funny
I was about to
premise.
say, I can't remember.
I think it was a Sonic
That's
Boom
it.
episode.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
But the actual context for this was they encountered there was a big stone pillar face like in Sonic 3, and Tails is like, oh, Sonic, I don't like the look of this face, and Sonic's like, well, I don't like the look of your face, but am I complaining? He sort of like grins at the camera as a deadly arrow shoots out of it towards his head.
I get on my soapbox a lot about how a lot of the games in that time period Mario games were deeply mean to Luigi. I mean, he's still kind of the punching bag, but like,
yeah.
Toad's my least favorite Mario character because for some reason they just made Toad real mean to Luigi in the 2000s. So that was the sense of humor at the time. It's like, no, he's mean.
I feel like now they've oh yeah, there's the panel, exactly. Yeah, I feel like Nintendo now has kind of done it's pretty cool how they've settled into like celebrating Luigi's differences from Mario. Because Luigi's Mansion was like the whole like, oh, he's very easily scared, he can be cowardly. But then like by the time we got to like the Mario and Luigi games, it was like, oh, but the brothers' differences, like that's how they play off of each other, and they love each other very much.
He's a real character now, which
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
On to our very last one, number 20.
No copyright law in the universe is going to stop me.
I don't think he said that, but I wish Walrus Guy made him say that. It has to be a meme, right? I think it has to be a meme.
That one is real.
No, really? What game?
That is
That's
also
so
a
funny.
quote from Sonic Colors.
What's he referencing? What is he making a reference of that they think he...
The whole thing is that Eggman built like a crazy deadly amusement park and talking about how everything and everybody who walks into the park is copyright Eggman Industries. And, Sonic's like, Eggman, I will save this planet and free all of these aliens. No copyright law in the universe can stop me.
Oh, that's funny.
That brings us to the end of our quiz, and you got 14 out of 20 correct.
Hey, okay, that's pretty
right.
good.
Great work.
Back in the running for an A+.
Yay! Well, I'm proud.
It's all going to shake out. All right, so let's get back to some questions. Anything else you want to ask about?
Gosh, I think this has been I've actually learned kind of a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
All right, I will ask one more silly question. I actually really, really, really enjoy the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. What other framing, maybe sports, maybe not sports, what other framing of a Sonic and Mario crossover do you guys think could be really fun? So like Luigi's Mansion with Tails, or I don't know, because I like the Sonic and the Olympic Games, but they're kind of like Mario Party-esque. You don't have to play. Like when I play, I just play as like Waluigi. I make Waluigi ice skate with me as a me. I don't know.
It's a crossover, but it's not the one any of us like dreamed as a kid.
It's fun, but like
Sonic and Mario.
Yeah, I would have wanted the characters to like genuinely interact and stuff. So what do you guys think would be the funnest framing for some kind of Mario and Sonic crossover?
That's a tough one because they do, like, the two characters do play very differently, and it's hard to easily translate, the gameplay from one into the other, mostly because of the speed.
I think that's why my knee-jerk answer is Paper Mario.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like some sort of an RPG system would be a good idea.
Maybe a mix of like Thousand Year Door gameplay for Mario and Super Paper Mario as Sonic. Like not as fast as maybe as a traditional Sonic game, but still levels like platforming-ish levels with the Sonic cast.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think the paper universe kind of being its own thing to where you can kind of do whatever you want. I would just love to see like that. And it doesn't even have to be Paper Mario, but a Mario RPG-ish universe I think would be perfect for all those characters.
I think something along the lines of like a Mario and Luigi would be perfect, where you're having them do like those combo attacks and their different abilities mean that you can do different things while exploring the world and being able to access different areas. Like, I think that's a great idea.
Like even pairing up like, instead of just Mario and Luigi, pair up like Mario and Amy and they can do Hammer Brother type attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that framing, because it's less about having to fit Mario and Sonic into each other's like traditional gameplay styles, then you can just fit all of the characters into like this, middle point in a like spin-off RPG type thing. That's my knee-jerk answer that I would really want to see.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, in my head I was like, an RPG might work, because that's how you sort of combine those two and just tell a story around them, because God knows Sonic could do with a good RPG.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, and if you ask some
15
people,
years.
it never happened.
Yeah, if you ask some people within the Sonic creative
I know,
process,
didn't Yazuka
apparently.
just say, like, yeah, we'd be open to bringing Sonic to an RPG. We've never done that before.
Why have we never done that before? That's so weird.
No, God bless him. He's got the weight of the Sonic world on his shoulders.
Oh.
By the way, if you're wondering what we're talking about when it comes to our Sonic RPGs, there was an existing one. It wasn't very good, and it did lead to the downfall of the Sonic comics and various copyright things within the Sonic world. So I guess one copyright law in the universe was able to stop it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
With that, it is time to move on to our final quiz, and still one of my favorites. No more music. So we are going to play you 10 different music tracks, and you just need to tell us if they are from a Sonic game or not.
All right. I might be okay at this one.
Yeah, I think you'll honestly do pretty good. Like, I've got some tricky ones in there, but I think you'll do pretty well.
All right.
So
I'm
let's start
ready.
with number 1.
Aw, I've heard that one. Classic.
So is this from a Sonic the Hedgehog game or not?
It is.
That's
Yes.
correct. This was the Green Hill Zone theme from Sonic 1. Gotta start you off easy.
Yeah, I love the very obvious. This is such a song program for the Genesis. Super Nintendo music doesn't sound like this. Like, I love that iconic Genesis style.
It's very good. All right. Now let's move on to number 2.
I think I want to say yes, but my heart also says Pokemon. Ooh. I guess I'm going to say yes, because if it's not Sonic, I feel like it's Pokemon.
You are incorrect. This is the credits theme from the indie platformer, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Rosenkreuzlet.
You know what? My heart says it's Pokemon, so I think it's the indie platformer Pokemon Diamond version. It fits in the Sonic universe. It's a great song. I'm digging it.
Yeah, no, like, I want to find tracks that would sound like Sonic music to try and trip you up, and I think that I got...
Okay.
I think I got pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So, number 3.
Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, the Let's Go is deeply Sonic, but the lack of a easy to follow beat is kind of not. I want to say I don't think it is. I think it's got too much of a crazy beat. I know I just talked about Music Plant having also kind of a hard to follow beat, but you know, with a game where speed and rhythm sort of matter, I don't think this fits well. So I want to say no. But the Let's Go sounds really Sonic. So
That is incorrect. It is from Sonic Shuffle, the Mario Party clone for Sega Dreamcast.
oh, I see. So if it's a kind of a Mario Party clone, maybe the running super fast doesn't matter as much. Okay.
Exactly.
The Let's Go is really Sonic. I was like, okay.
They have used that Let's Go sample in a lot of other stuff. Like, there's some other Sonic tracks. I know it got used as like a sound effect in Street Fighter Third Strike. You hear it pop up every once in a while. I think it's actually from like the Batman 66 show.
Oh, wow. Who was the main composer on Sonic Shuffle? I don't think I've ever looked it up because I do not revisit that game often. I'll look it up on my own.
All right, so let's move on to number 4.
I would be really surprised if this was Sonic music. I don't think so. This almost sounds like This sounds like an RPG or something. I don't think this is Sonic.
That's correct. This is the character creation theme from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Not an RPG.
I would have been fooled to it to be in the Sonic's track. To be
Really?
honest with you,
There's some tracks that sound a lot like this. Like, I was hoping to try and trip up Jeremy and Chris with a few of these.
Ooh.
Those birds at the beginning sounded like a sample from Sonic CD.
Yeah.
You almost got me with that.
It's a good bit of that 90s Euro pop.
Yeah. All right, moving on to a number 5.
This sounds pretty Sonic.
Is that your final answer?
I do think so.
Well, your final answer is correct. That is
Yay.
Diamond Dust, the snow level from Sonic 3D Blast.
Okay. Yes.
Specifically the Genesis version, because that was a game that had 2 different soundtracks depending on which system you played it on, because it came out at Genesis and Saturn at nearly the same time.
I can even hear some of the very Genesis like bass lines. Totally
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah.
Number 6.
Okay, I want to say no, but you guys just played a similar song and then said that there are similar songs to that song. So this one kind of sounds like the character creation one.
Playing mind games with you.
You're playing mind games. No, I think I'm still going to say no. For some reason, I just can't envision this in a Sonic game. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because otherwise I'm going to talk myself into circles.
I am sorry, that is incorrect. This is the instruction manual viewing theme from Sonic Gems Collection, the compilation game.
Fallen for your mind games.
Those collection games have some really nice low-key tracks.
I gotta say, yeah, I'm gonna start studying.
There was another track on this game that I was going to play because it sounds even more like that character creation theme, and I wanted to trip you up, but it starts off with a little robot voice saying Sonic Gems Collection. I'm like, I can't do that.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I have some trivia.
Please.
The music director for Sonic Shuffle was Akihiro Sato, who was the sound director at Hudson Soft. So he also did a lot of Bomberman music and Mario Party.
was
Makes
gonna
sense
say,
because Hudson did develop Sonic Shuffle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, Sonic. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Hudson Soft. I think Mario Party. Maybe Mario Party's the only one it did.
I think they did a bunch, at least the first 3 Mario Parties,
I think they did almost all of them. Definitely the GameCube
They did the
ones,
first
too.
8, but then they got absorbed into Konami. So
I believe that.
they don't exist.
Oh,
anymore.
that's right.
Hudson has the B.
So, hey, we
Did
Yes.
Paper? They didn't do Paper
all,
Mario.
We all learned something
No,
new.
maybe they didn't.
No, that was Intelligent Systems, the Fire
Okay.
Emblem people. Number 7.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Isn't there a literal song called like "Let's Go Sonic"?
Oh, there's gotta be. It's somewhere in the world.
Like it's got that 16-bit sound, but there were a lot of games for the Genesis.
Maybe the 3, 2, 1, let's go, and it not being Sonic's voice is maybe a bit much. Maybe I'm gonna take a risk and say no.
That is correct. This
Aha.
is Inside the Ruins from R-Type Leo.
This is another one that if I didn't know any better, I'd say was a Sonic
Yeah.
CD track.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
very
this close
similar.
to believing it.
Moving on to number 8.
Yeah, this is from one of the Sonic Advance games, isn't it? Because they used a lot of piano covers, which I love. Yeah, I think this is.
The Sonic series does love its pianos.
And it's my favorite when they do. I want to say this is from one of the Sonic Advance games. I feel like I almost... Or if it isn't, it's real close to it. I want to say, yeah, it is from Sonic.
I'm sorry, this is the
No.
Team Psycho Soldier theme from King of Fighters 13.
Wow. Doesn't it sound like it belongs on Sonic Advance?
It's definitely got that vibe to it.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the music park and that crazy thing.
Yeah. Dee 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 doo dee dee doo dee dee doo. Love it. So this could be a different level, you know?
Yeah, no, this reminds me a lot of like Saturn era Sonic music. Personally.
Yeah.
Also known as Knights.
I thought it was going to go into the Amazing Digital Circus. For a minute, my mind just went to a different...
That would have been something. Home stretch, number 9. I mean, Sonic or not, it's a bop.
It is a bop. I might say yes. This sounds really of its time, Genesis, Saturn-y. Yeah, I think I'll say yes.
That is incorrect. This is the Stage 1 theme from Streets of Rage.
Oh, I don't know that.
Which is a Genesis game.
It sounds very Genesis.
We're right. It is from that era.
Composed by Yuzo Koshiro, who did do a fair amount of Sonic music back in the day. Mostly on the Game Gear games. But yeah, no, this is... I love the Streets of Rage soundtrack. It's one of my favorites on the Genesis.
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right. And now our final track, number 10.
All right. Yes, I think so. Oh. Oh. Ooh. This is hard because I want to say that it has the sort of like repetitive upbeat. What a Sonic song? Say shake it, baby?
Maybe. Maybe not.
No, I think I believe it because I think I believe it because it just has... I'm going to say yes because it has... Because Sonic games, the music is at its best, in my opinion, when it has the formula of an extremely repetitive first section that then expands. Because then it makes me feel like I want to go fast. You know, dee-dee-dee-doo-dee-dee-doo-dee. That song is one of my favorite songs because it builds on itself after it establishes its repetitive pattern. And this song does that. I think I'm going to say yes.
You are correct. This is Rocky Ridge from Sonic Free Riders.
Sonic Free Riders. I didn't even know...
That is the hoverboard racing game for the Xbox Kinect. It's bad.
The Kinect.
In fact, I don't even think I've heard this song before.
This was one of the ones I was hoping to trip you guys up with, too.
Yeah. The voice is so weird.
I like this, though.
Gimme some, gimme some, gimme some.
Sonic songs are not a stranger to samples, but not this heavy, but I still think it works.
Yeah. I'm digging it, but like... What am I giving you? What are you encouraging Sonic to give me?
Oh, this is like some club music in the nightclub that Rouge owns in Sonic Battle.
Yeah.
Oh.
And as we know, yeah, Rouge, she's sexy and smooth, as told in the lyrics of one of Knuckles' songs in Sonic Adventure 2.
It's true.
Yeah, they're going to say shake it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, you got 5 out of 10 right, halfway.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I'll take what I can get.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's too funny.
A dub is a dub is a dub.
That's it. Y'all knew not to put any Mario music in there, because otherwise I would have smelled it immediately.
It's true. I was very careful because I knew that if I did, you would sniff it out.
Instantly. Oh, I'll sniff anything Mario puts in front of me.
I see what you did there. But yeah, I guess that pretty much brings us to the end. Thank you again so much for being on. I'm glad that we were able to teach you all about this weird blue Sonic's world of ours.
I'm thrilled to be included. Thank you so much. This was a ton of fun.
Do you feel like you've learned anything important that will like help you in life going forward?
Yes, I've learned music theory for Japanese games I've never heard of.
That's the correct answer.
Yes. I'm thrilled. I feel highly educated.
All right. Well, Julie, thank you again. In the meantime, where can people find you if they'd like to listen to more of your Mario headcanons.
Oh, I'm
particularly
full of
the one about how Rosalina. Please elaborate on that because it's a joy.
It is. I have so many opinions. Yes. And so I can be found on a couple of social media sites. My handle is Sreddous, which is spelled SREDDOUS on X/Twitter, if you call it that. Instagram. I kind of was heavy in cosplay, and so I've still got a bunch of cosplay photos up on various sites that I still love and would like to keep contributing to. And so those are the 2 places I'm most active these days. So I'm full of creative projects. So that'll be Twitter or X.com/Sreddous on Instagram. I'm also Sreddous there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. In the meantime, you can find me on Twitter. I refuse to call it by the other name at CyberLink420.
Yeah.
You can find me around social medias under the name GameBuddy, sometimes with a 123 at the end.
And you can find me all across the internet at Faulerro. That's Faulerro. Oh, and by the way, Jake will probably be back next time, we hope. We didn't actually mention in this whole episode.
Jake unfortunately got abducted by Metal Sonic, so we wish him the best in his recovery and escape.
Yeah, we didn't just deliberately replace him with someone with the name that begins with J, but it just happened to work out that
It's
way.
1-to-1 ratio.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And of course, special thanks as always go out to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp, especially if it's a Bandcamp Friday. And, remember to subscribe, review, share the podcast around because it does help and we love to do it and we want to keep doing it. However, next time, we're doing another listening party, folks. It's time for the Sonic 3 and Knuckles listening party for the game's 20th anniversary. This is more or less going to be when Sonic and Knuckles came out in 1994. Not exact, but close enough for our liking. So we're going to be looking back at that game's soundtrack, and that game's other soundtrack, and that game's other soundtrack, and that game's other. And you get the idea.
Yeah, if you hadn't got enough music from that last section, we're going to be covering a whole lot of Sonic music this time, and I think this could be a pretty... I always love our listening parties, but this one is going to be quite interesting as we get to the bottom of which version of Ice Cap is best. It's the original one.
It is the original ones, but unfortunately that track has fallen on hard times.
That's going to go completely over Julie's head.
And I'm okay with that.
That's fine. It means she's not this deep into Sonic like the rest of us.
And perhaps it's better that way.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm CyberLink.
I'm GameBuddy.
I'm Faulerro.
And I'm Sreddous, reclassifying Silver as a doofus.
He certainly is.
That's why we love him.
This has been The Hill is Always Greener, and we will see you on the other side.